This is Very Bold Radio and Podcast with your host, Steve Teel, bringing encouragement through God's Word and through inspiring interviews. Go to verybold.com for information and updates, and email steve@verybold.com. And now here's your host, Steve Teel.
Hey, what's going on? Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast. Am I excited? You know what? I'm going to use a different word today. I'm thrilled. You're getting thrilled. I am so thrilled. We've got Nelda Buckman right here for an interview. We're going to talk about all things Nelda Studios, that Nelda and her husband, Carl Buckman, who's in studio but not on microphone. Carl, yes, we're so glad you're here, as well as my wonderful wife, Chris, is here and off camera, off microphone, but we're glad you guys are here. And the Marksman, always doing what he does. But I am thrilled because Nelda and Carl are really dear, close friends of ours, and we are just so grateful. I just want to say to you, just thank you for your friendship and your love for us.
We love y'all.
We know it, and we are just grateful. Carl, thank you. Yeah, he gives a wave. Oh, you got a picture of Carl and Nelda up there on screen for Facebook. I love it.
Hey.
I love it. So
Hope it's a good one.
It is a good one. It's a good one. It's off the official,
you never know.
The official website. I checked with Chris. I was like, this is a good picture, right? Yeah, it's a great picture. So Nelda, we have 1,000 things we could talk about. That's the challenge.
Okay.
There's so much. So we will start with the Tony Awards are coming up.
They are.
June 8th.
Yeah.
Now, that may not mean much to somebody watching. Like, maybe somebody's like, oh, the Tony Awards. It means a lot to us because it's the 78th annual. It's going to be at Radio City Music Hall in New York City.
Venue.
Is it a great venue?
Oh, it's a great place to have it. Yeah. Radio City's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Except for the fact that the bathrooms are on the basement floor.
That's a problem.
So if you're on the main floor,
Yeah.
which we will be, for all the ceremony, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go down. And they don't let you slide down the banister on the way. You have to walk down this gargantuan amount of stairs, and then they track you through like you're, it's like cattle.
It's like cattle.
Seriously, there are people there going, that one's open, that one's open. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, it's like get those women through there. Because women in theater and bathrooms is just, anybody who does a lot of theater knows. It's a disaster if you go someplace and have a show and they don't have adequate seats for women in the bathroom. It's just, and now we got gowns.
Now you got gowns. Why not jeans?
I know. I would so go for jeans.
You can slide down that banister if you got jeans on, I think.
It's just a thing.
Would you really wear jeans to the Tonys?
Yeah.
I mean, you have such great dresses and outfits. Would you wear jeans? Is that true?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But I'm really excited this year because florals are really huge. And you know me in color.
Yes.
And so florals are really huge this year. And so I don't have to go the sequined gown rhinestone thing. Okay. Which is not me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we close to a dress? We're going to tell you why she's going to be at the Tonys. She's, if I ever get to the Tonys, do they still have seat fillers? I mean, I would apply for that job. That would be it.
I don't know. Okay. Maybe they do. They do. They didn't give me a seat filler. They didn't hey, here's a free ticket. They didn't do that. They're like, you can buy your seat.
But if you go downstairs to the restroom in the middle of it, do they fill it with somebody? This is from Seinfeld. This is what I know about theater is what I learned from Seinfeld. This is embarrassing.
I don't know. The last time I was at the Tonys, my favorite thing was when the cameras shut down. They had all these shows going on. They had people singing and dancing. It was just fun.
The
it was
cameras
just
shut down?
Yeah, when they go to commercial break.
Okay.
Yeah, when they go to commercial break, the party went on.
And
it was even more of a party, actually. And it was really fun. It was a lot of fun. And so different people sang, different contests, all these different things.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a really good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still would wear jeans if they let me.
All right, we're going to talk about Sunset Boulevard because you're a producer of Sunset Boulevard, but you have done the Tonys before. Tell us a little bit, what you experienced as you're waiting. You did the prom, which was up for, I don't remember how many.
I don't remember how many Tonys we had nominations. We got.
But how stressful is it when you're sitting there waiting for them to call? And I know they're going to call, I don't know. I believe they're going to call Sunset Boulevard. I mean, 7 nominations is amazing.
Yeah. So you're when you're a co-producer like I am, there's a whole bunch of co-producers.
Okay. All right.
And so your biggest fear at that moment is if they win, the top show. That means that all of those co-producers are going to be running down trying to get on stage.
Okay.
That's all those people you see behind the people who are actually accepting the award, right?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they're jockeying for position. They want to be on camera. Want to be on camera.
All right.
And so, if any of my fellow co-producers watch this, they might get mad at me, but it's really my thinking at that point is like, will I fall up the stairs?
Yeah.
Does anybody care? Are they just going to be trying to get in the front? I want to be on camera.
Right.
Anyway, but I probably, I don't know. But anyway, maybe I'll let them race up and I'll wave from, because, it's a crazy thing.
I can't imagine.
So, anyway, just the whole thought process of doing that and everything, like do not wear like 7-inch heels. That might be the death of you.
Right.
Know? So anyway, if they just let us wear tennis shoes too, that would be cool.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this, because I'm a sports guy. So I know when we go into a sports, a game, a match, whatever, there's an expectation, there's a favorite, there's an underdog. So did you feel like with the prom or now with Sunset Boulevard, like, we've got a really good shot at this one or that one? Like, how do you know? See,
it's so interesting because Tony's can be obviously the talent and the writing and all of it, it has to be spot on. And so the writers, the thing that I love about Sunset Boulevard is revival. Is the fact that what they've done is they've given you something completely different than the Sunsets you remember before.
Really?
Than the movie, than the other theater.
Oh, okay.
Jamie Lloyd, it's a technical kind of phenomena because it's all done in basically grayscale, which means everything's black and white.
What?
Okay, and there aren't really. There's like one costume change in all of it. And so it's not driven by what you would think it'd be driven by.
Okay.
It is driven by, it really engages the audience for one thing. And then it also has pushed the limits because there's a screen.
Yeah.
And so, and there are cameras on stage in Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
And the dancers and other people in the show are camera operators and they're walking around on stage. And so one of the things about stage work is that, the audience doesn't see you at 2 and 3 feet away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're cast in Sunset Boulevard, you have to not only have a stage presence, you have to look good on camera. Okay? Because they're right there.
Right.
And their faces sometimes are up on the screen. And the audience is engaged at a different level than you would be if you were just seeing a stage production. So it really is. It's like the screen is a character, if you will.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
So it's just another character in the show. Oh. And because it doesn't give away anything at this point in time, second act, first act, they do this funny thing where they really are showing backstage.
Yeah.
And so there are these subplots that are going on that are a part of the show, but they're not a part of the show because they're really showing the actors' lives, not the characters' lives at that moment. So there's this like mixture of seeing the real life actors and having subplots, like you see a couple that are engaged with one another and you're like, oh, they're involved with one another, but then you don't see them again. All right. That's like they're the actors, not the stage characters. And so then in the second act, you actually get to catch another glimpse of them, and yes, they are involved and with one another, and you see a relationship that's going on there, and then you follow. You follow the main male character, Tom Ford. You follow him down the stairs in the alcoves. That's one of the fun things that I got to do with the prom. Was on my YouTube channel. I went backstage at the prom, so I got to go through all the backstage areas, right? And the stairwells that come down and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, he comes down and he's singing while you're watching these little subplots, finish out, if you will, kind of closing those out. And then he, I think of just a few weeks ago, all of a sudden he turns and who's standing next to him but Andrew Lloyd Webber as he's singing in the show, right? And so he's with the orchestra. Orchestra's live. He's coming from the third or fourth floor down in the off stage, stage right. And he goes out on the streets of New York, and he sings every show from the streets of New York. And so they have to choreograph that. They have to pull the crowds back. There are people who know that he's coming out that door, so they're there with their cameras and they're waiting to capture this. And at the same time, he's singing in sync with the live orchestra inside the theater.
Oh my gosh!
And he's out. So technology wise, and and you're watching him on the screen, right? And so technology wise, this is not something they could have done before, because being in sync with a live orchestra while you're outside the theater would have been, that's just a technical nightmare, right?
Right.
And so, and then then he comes in from a side door at some point and the audience just goes, it's just phenomenal the first time you see it.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea.
I think every time you see it. Anyway.
How many times have you seen it?
I have only seen it once, but I will be going back. I'm going back to see it a couple more times.
Do producers go like on opening night, or do you go
opening
beforehand?
Night. There's the big opening night party and all that kind of stuff and everything. So we've been there for that. And
Did you are you involved in the process of knowing like all the technical wonders that are going on?
No, there are some things that I've been involved with. But those are like, for instance, I do off Broadway. Just did a show that we're bringing back to off Broadway, and yesterday we had our initial meeting.
Oh my gosh!
And so that's a process where I'm meeting everybody who's intricately involved in making all the decisions and things like that.
Yeah.
I not necessarily making the decisions. I'm really more of a financier type person, but the project has to be something I'm interested in or believe will be successful or whatever. So
tell us, let's back up. Tell us what drew you to Sunset Boulevard. And this was you're getting involved in London productions.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that. But tell us what drew you to.
Part of that was that. Yeah. Because it ended up kicking a door open to London productions. Okay. And I never really thought about having that aspect, in my portfolio. But when they brought it to me, and then, of course, I got to see what a success it had been in the UK and what people were saying about it, the critics were saying about it. And then the cast, just the vocal talent that they brought to it. And just, it's just different flavor. Okay. I mean, American theater has its flavor. Yeah. And the UK has its flavor, And anyway, so that fascinated me. Yeah. And then in saying yes to it, that's what opened the door to do some almost like associate producing, not co-producing, but of Shakespeare over on the West End of London with Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver, I know.
The Tempest, was that?
Yeah, The Tempest, one? Yeah. And then the next one was Much Ado About Nothing with Tom Hiddleston. And wow. Yeah. And, and you'll say, did you go see it? I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm raising two high schoolers. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. A lot of times, hopping the plane and going is not just really what I can do right now. Right. I mean, I will be doing more of that next year. But and then with doing those two Shakespeare plays with Jamie Lloyd, then the request was to be one of the associate producers on Evita. So the rehearsals for Evita are going on right now, and the opening of that will be. Oh my gosh! I want to say July 1st or something. But I will be going to see Evita.
That is happening.
Yeah, I will. So, and that's just because I hope my hope is that Evita ends up coming over here. Right? And so it's an interesting. I feel like that's an understatement to have that. It was like. I just feel like God kicked open a door over there, that I had never even seen. Like I didn't see the door, Yeah. And so that's been really, really fascinating. Yeah. And I'm working with a group of really young organizations, people who were really young and are really wanting, really kind of cutting their teeth and producing right now. And it gives me an opportunity to fund them. Yeah. And opens doors for them. Right. Which is super cool. Because they will have longevity that I don't have, and so there will be those phone calls. Nelda, will you do this? Will you do that? Those kind of things. And so that also is really neat to me because, I really believe in putting wind beneath the wings, right, of different talented people. And so I feel like that will, for a long time, will keep me engaged.
Yeah.
In live theater.
Yeah.
Because it will just be a part of my new company. So live theater will be a section of it.
Okay.
But we're starting Alder Tree Productions.
Tell us about that.
Well, Alder Tree.
Where's the name come from? I feel like I should know that.
My name,
Alder Tree.
There's several meanings to my name that I came across years ago. And one of them is light bearer. Yeah. The bringer of light.
Yeah.
Nelda means that. It means, it also means to enlighten. So as a light bearer, but then there was this other meaning. It said of the alder tree. And I thought, what does that mean? And then when I researched, it was like, the alder tree is historically known to give nutrients to other trees in the area through its root system.
Ooh, that's cool.
And I thought, I think that fits me. I think it does. And
Yeah.
so what would you, so in creating a new company,
cool.
creating Alder Tree with a focus on the root systems so that other saplings and the other, things that are happening, let's say, in the entertainment world, that I can wrap those roots around their roots and give them nutrient and give them growth.
Yeah.
And so that to me was why. Alder
That
Tree.
is really cool. All right.
Yeah.
I want to hear about Alder Tree, but I also just want to ask you, I know God is a huge part of your life.
Yes.
What is it like? We don't typically think of Broadway and Hollywood film as like a place that just opens its doors to Christians. So what has that been like for you? How have you felt called to it, or was it just?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it, in a way, first of all, it's been interesting to find other believers.
Okay. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And in some ways find some believers who also have experienced hurt from the church, maybe because maybe they aren't living the lifestyle that somebody wants them to live or whatever. And so being able, we share a church together, you and I, but I mean, that one of our sayings is badly broken, deeply loved. Mm-hmm. And so you find badly broken people everywhere.
Yeah, right.
There's no such thing as someone who's not. So I find it to be kind of just a ministry field of a different kind, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of times it's just based in friendship and acceptance and love to that person. But I've also been amazed at having lunch with somebody in New York, and they'll go and they'll say something about God, and I'll say, "Well, tell me about that. Tell me about what, who is God to you? What is your relationship with Him? What do you, And that has been really interesting to me, opening doors to even find fellow believers who are, in the entertainment industry, and also at this point in time. Historically, with what is going on, here in Texas, they're trying to bring film, more film to Texas, and I am, that 1 degree separation from everybody that our president has just said will be ambassadors to Hollywood.
Oh, wow!
Mel Gibson and John Voight and. Who's the other one? Sylvester Stallone. And I look forward to meeting them. I know that date is coming and that time is coming. Yeah. But really, then there's the other ones who are trying to bring film to Texas. Yeah. Woody Harrelson and Dennis Quaid.
Okay, yeah.
Is that right?
That makes sense. Is Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey,
I would think.
And so that's really I'm kind of 1 degree separation for them as well. And so I really expect those doors to open this year.
Yeah, wow.
Because I really do want to make film, and that's a new part of it. I have been executive producer of documentaries that are amazing documentaries.
We've got some award-winning documentary.
Yes.
That's Muraling Austin.
Muraling Austin was one that we did 3 It's a 3-part series.
Okay.
For PBS in Austin that went national. PBS.
Yeah.
And we won an Emmy for that one.
How about that, man?
That was pretty cool.
You're working on the EGOT. You're
I know.
working on it.
You know what? It really would be cool, wouldn't it?
Hey, why not?
But it's that's just another part of it, and that's the part that I, in developing a new company, the part that I want to explore, is can we, we've already also got documentaries that,
tell us about it.
Well, Laura Dunn Sewell, I've worked with her through, and I just lost her documentaries names in my head. But her film is her company's Two Birds Film.
Okay.
She and her husband Jeff Sewell.
Okay.
And Jeff is coming aboard with the Alder Tree as my president. So I'm so excited.
Wow.
And so excited to have Jeff Sewell on board and Laura on board, and to bring about more work in the documentary area, but also Jeff and I have this desire to do satirical television.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've got
that's new to me.
Yeah,
did you know this, Chris?
We got a couple of things, and he's written a book, and he's got some amazing his couple of companies that he runs, and he just satire. We just sat and talked satirically about stuff, and we realized we both have a dark side, and so anyway, so there's some fun things that we'll be doing with that.
Okay.
And so we're just going to kind of dip our toe in a lot.
Yeah.
His wife Laura and he are already very incredible, recognized documentarists. In fact, Laura just was recognized at Yale for her contribution to film and documentary.
Wow.
So she's quite the force, and he's just he actually has been her camera person. It's really fascinating when you work with people who are multi-talented and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to what that all will look like and what it'll be. And what God's going to do with all that.
Oh man, I know we can't talk about it. And I won't mention any names or anything, but we are very excited just to know. There's a film project that is in the works.
Yeah.
What can you say without saying anything? That's the key.
I think the easiest way is to say it's a film. It's a film about women, for women, starting from the very first woman.
Okay. And
from her perspective and what her relationship with God would have been, and what Eve, how Eve stands, as the woman who had to have been the most intelligent woman who ever walked the face of the earth, to this amazing loving relationship with her Creator, that she is the giver of life, and how what her relationship would have been like with God, and what the fall would have meant to her.
Yeah.
And how destructive and just devastating that had to have been. And yet through her comes the Messiah.
Right.
Right. And so, excuse me. So with Eve. Yeah. So with Eve, I just, it's something that God gave me 30 years ago. I know, when I read a certain book and I went, wow.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And so it's just, but I always thought it would just be something I wrote one day, or maybe a Bible study that I did one day, or something like that. And for God to then sort of drop that in my brain and just go, no, it's a movie.
Yeah.
And, I guess in my brain, I think, okay, how do you do all the things, that would involve creation and Eve, and, and then I look at the craziness of Avatar.
Yeah.
And how they did what they did there. And I was like, okay, Lord, I don't know what this is going to look like, but man, I really want to do it. I really would love to touch that. And to remind women who they are, where they come from, who they are, the beauty of who we are as mothers,
Yeah.
But the beauty of who we are as mothers, because the thing about it is that it's just a role no one else has, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
You know, and as our culture fights this war of being a working woman, or you know, or this takes away from you, or this is like, man, it enhances you and it grows you. And I look at my life, and I think I'm 62 now, and I have no desire to retire.
Yeah.
But God has, whereas I felt somewhat sacrificial in my life as a mom and raising kids and all those kind of things, they weren't burdens.
Yeah.
Because you sacrifice does not mean that you're burdened.
Yeah.
And sacrifice has a negative connotation. I asked a young woman the other day, what do you think about women in sacrifice? And she was like, "Oh, I think women are getting given too much sacrifice. That means death of something." And I was like, "Wow, does it?
Oh, wow.
Does it really?
Yeah.
You define that as a death of something because it's a sacrifice." And I think of sacrificial things that we do through our life as honoring and adding to us and creating and molding. You know, I think sometimes God uses a chisel on us, and sometimes he uses sandpaper, right? You know, and it's just, anyway. So I would love to be a part of really a change in how women see themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So it would be different. I mean, how they see themselves. That's a part of your vision and your heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that, I think that women have been taught a wrong kind of feminism.
Okay.
Instead of a positive feminism.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to be a man. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. I want to be a woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a man.
Yeah.
I want to be who I am and who I was designed to be.
It's good.
And it's a different process. I mean, you know that I've been raising who are my granddaughters by birth. I've been raising my two girls, my two youngest girls, since they were 5 and 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can tell you, parenting second time around, it's a different perspective, I bet. I'm more honest with my girls and also more challenging with them, know, and I'm like, so you kind of got what you consider a rough roll of the dice here in life, right? That God gave you this adoption thing, right? Which and it's like, so you have to move through acceptance of where he has you. And then you need to acknowledge his place in the fact that he maybe did give you something challenging as a very young child.
Yeah.
But what can you do with that? You can develop an amazing character in God. You can really release those things to him that you couldn't control.
Yeah.
And so it gives me a different perspective.
Yeah, no doubt. What have been the joys of being a mom this second time around to this?
Oh my gosh. Behind the wheel. With two girls. No, seriously. I mean, the joys, I think it's interesting because every single night when they go to bed, they turn to me and they say, "Are you coming upstairs?" And it's like, "Will you come pray over me?" I mean, that's really what they're saying is, "Will you come connect?"
Yeah.
Will you come upstairs and push everything aside and come up here and pray with me and pray over me before I go to sleep each night? And, I've had leg surgery and stuff. And there were times I'd look at those stairs and I'm like, I really, it's late. My leg is killing me, and go upstairs and pray over them. And I would not take back a single one of those times, and I try to make certain I'm always there for that, So it's been one of the joys. I think the hardships have been really just perspective, maybe.
Okay. All right.
Loving your family.
Yeah.
no matter what your family looks like. I always thought, I mean, I'm a divorced woman, so I always thought that, I went down the aisle and married my, my prince, and my man of God, and that was going to, that was the way it's going to be. Family's going to be together, this is the way this will end.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And so what did I have to learn through that? A lot.
Yeah.
I had to learn to let go and let God be there and let him determine what my future was. And that was just like, so hard. And so I kind of relate to them in that way.
Yeah.
I understand that it's not, you always wanted your family to be together and that's what you thought it would be, and you've had some turmoil in that. And there's trauma and hard things, but God, goodness sakes, all throughout the Bible that way.
Yeah.
You don't really see, I mean, right?
Right.
Like we've talked about Joseph before. Look at Joseph being sold into slavery and false accusations and all the things that he had to live with until God raised him up out of that. And Joseph had to have been able to turn back and go, that's what all that was for, was for when I got here.
Right. Yeah. That's good. When you look at some of the turmoil that you've been through, I mean, what helped you? I know it's God, but what helped you heal through that and move forward through that? What are some of the things that
other believers? Other believers. Were really important in that. I went through. Not only did I go through therapy and counseling, and did a lot of work around it all, childhood hurts. I think. One of the things was going through healing the hurts, which was spiritual counseling, and going back through things and allowing Christ to show me through his eyes what those traumas were like to him. And he was there with me and never let go of me in them. And the sense of, I mean, I just found a journal yesterday.
Wow.
That was that time period of me healing.
Wow.
And it was really interesting to read things that about promises that God gave me, or things that he said, or scripture that he brought, to life and to mind, or people who just surrounded me. Because really and truly, true fellow believers, and prayer, just really and truly hearing the voice of God. There was so many times, because I am one of those people that even as a kid, I would talk to Mom about, about God talking to me. And I grew up a Southern Baptist kid. We didn't really talk a lot about that. That was weird, but it was beautiful. He was always there. I always feel like I hear his voice. I don't know that I ever feel disconnected from God.
That's pretty great.
Except for when I'm like being a booger. But I mean, I feel like he's just right there.
Was your mom able, as a Baptist, was she able to support when you came and said, Mom, I'm hearing God tell me?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yes.
Well, good for Rosie. Good for Rosie.
Yeah, she's always, I know that I was probably the, I hate to say difficult child, but I mean, in some ways, because, I would hear things from God. And I would tell them, and sometimes that's accepted by your family and sometimes it's not, because sometimes it's like, there's no way you're hearing that from God, and I have one. It's kind of probably a stupid example.
No, we want to hear an example.
Okay, so I was trying out for the head of my drill team, and our drill team had like 250 girls.
That's a few.
It's drums, trumpets, flags, rifles. I mean, precision. We did it all. And so we were our own band and everything. It was all females. And
oh my goodness, 250.
I didn't find out how hard it was until I was the leader of that. But I remember telling my mom, as through the auditions, one day I said, Mom, God told me that I'm going to be the colonel, the head person in this, and I think Mom was like, okay, pat me on the head, I'm telling you that, and everything. And then I was. And then, a couple weeks later, I find out I did get that position and everything. And like I said, there's with that kind of core, there was a lot of leadership and stuff, and there were times that it was heartache to be the leader. There were times that I didn't expect. I expected to always have the support of this 250 girls,
Sure.
And you don't. I mean, you don't.
Right. Yeah.
And I expected, too, to be protected necessarily from the bad talk or the this or that, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so then I had to deal with that, too. And so, I don't know, but I just always think that's the type thing that I would hear from God that other people would go, she's got a big head or whatever, and it was like, so.
You were just hearing from God.
Yeah.
What does that look like today? I mean, for you, you don't have to give another example, but I mean, you're just feeling in constant communication with him.
Yeah.
And he may just say something very simple.
He said, make this movie. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I will be, one of my friends asked me, they said, well, Nelda, how are you going to deal with the nudity of Adam and Eve, right? And everything. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not worried about the nudity of Adam and Eve. I'm worried about what you do with the Creator. The Creator is front and center. Like, what do you do with the Creator? Because, and they said, oh, and I said, yeah. I said, not only that, but I said, if there's going to be a place, I said, if there's going to be a place that I'll be attacked from, we all know where the attack will come from. It will be from theologians and the church and you know what I'm saying? Because you're dealing with something that is so creative in my mind.
Right.
And obviously the way I see and perceive and from when I read the scriptures and, I've done a lot of digging and studying. But mostly it's just like, Lord, how do you take this creative process and do something like this without being without offending someone? Well, it's not going to happen.
Right, sure.
The cross offends.
Right.
Right?
It's true.
So we know it offends. And God and Jesus was very clear to us that that other people will hate you. They'll hate you without a cause, right? So we know that's kind of part of the package, but it's still a scary part of the package.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a fun part of the package, is it? Yeah.
No.
But the good thing is, no matter what, I mean, in creating this film, just as other people have created things that, of course, you create something, it's going to get criticism. It's going to be, but I think they messed up here or whatever. But you're getting people thinking and you're getting people searching. And I mean, that is a win right there. Yeah. So, and if people are talking about it, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be an interesting process. If it could be done yesterday, I would have it over with. But
God put it on your heart, and you're just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
All right, we could talk. We could talk about a bunch of other things. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about. We're a little bit over 30 minutes, but we can go for a few more minutes. I can't keep track of all the things you have going on. You've got, literally, we've mentioned a handful. I didn't even get to mention that what Sunset Boulevard is up for. Best revival of a musical. Didn't even say, did you get to meet Andrew Lloyd Webber?
No, I got to, we were at I threw an opening night party, pre-party to that. And I did not get to meet him, but I did get to take a picture with his cardboard cutout.
That's better.
And I got to meet Jamie Lloyd, just briefly. But it's it's everybody always talks about meeting different people and everything. And I have preferred to meet people during rehearsals, actual rehearsals. Like I've been there. Queen of Versailles is another show that I'm co-producer on that will be on Broadway next fall as a new show. So it'll be a different category if it gets to that Tony, But and that is with Stephen Schwartz, who wrote, Wicked and kind of important guy. And then don't tell me her name is going to leave my head. The original Galinda. Seriously, did that just
Kristen Chenoweth?
Yeah, Kristen Chenoweth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
I've gotten to meet her in rehearsals.
Okay.
And that is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
She's about 4 foot nothing.
I know.
But just as nice as she can be.
Yeah.
And very kind.
Yeah.
And she's had her own difficulties.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had a light fall on her.
Oh, that's right.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't know what was going to,
Oh my goodness.
because it was on a set.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad injury.
Right.
And, she's very fortunate that it did not affect voice and everything. And she's an opera singer too. I don't know if you've ever seen any of her stuff. She's a hoot and a holler. But I look forward to seeing that show come up next year. Yeah. And so I'm trying to make sure I keep my calendar a little more clear. Sunset was kind of like a fast thing that happened, but Queen of Versailles, I've been there for early readings. We had our out of town opening in Boston last year. Yeah. There's always this rewriting and tweaking and everything to get it all all that's being done in secret right now, and then there'll be the show that comes up in and so we'll be there for.
Can you remind me like a minute elevator synopsis of Queen of Versailles?
Queen of Versailles is really about the love of money and and how it can damage. Yeah. And so there's documentaries out there on the Queen of Versailles. Okay. And it's really Jackie Siegel and her journey through wanting to build the largest single home dwelling in the United States. Okay. It's in Florida. Yeah. And I think soon to open. But it is huge. And it's really kind of about lots of money completely going away. Yeah. And then coming back from that and everything. And her kind of what she learned through that whole process, which all of it was easy. It was hard. Yeah. And then and where it's taken her. She's a big philanthropist and everything as well. But she also was kind of a Walmart girl, and just very kind of redneck and that kind of thing. Wow. And it's just really about her journey from really not ever having any money to having tons of money, losing the money, getting the money back. I mean, it's just a journey, and everything. But humorously written. I mean, there's tragedy in it, but there's also this amazing amount of humor in it as well.
Oh, good. So, I love the humor. Okay, Kenny Loggins. I don't remember what we were saying about Kenny Loggins.
Oh, I have two what you call celebrity documentaries. So 2 celebrity documentaries.
Kenny Loggins.
Kenny Loggins. Yeah. And Liza Minnelli.
Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about Liza Minnelli. I even got a graphic for it. Yeah.
And so Liza, that one's one, sometimes these things are kind of weird. I get a phone call, and it's like, hey, owned by Showtime. Showtime's folded. They gave it back to the director, which never happens. Oh, yeah. So it really just needs funding for festivals, and stuff. But she'll be at this level of producer, if you do this or whatever, and it's like, okay, that sounds like a done deal already. And, and so anyway, but it's done really well in the film festivals.
Tribeca did really good, I believe, right?
So we'll see.
Okay.
When are the Oscars? Does anybody know?
March, usually.
Yeah. But anyway.
You're surprised I knew? I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, no, I don't even know.
I'm surprised on Kristen Chenoweth. I'm still impressed by that.
Sweet lady.
Yeah.
Talented. Oh, my gosh. If you've never seen her do, I'll send it to you. Okay. If you've never seen her do her opera.
Oh, yeah.
It's like.
Bring it.
Good golly. What a voice that woman has. A little tiny thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd heard she was a Christian. But I think she grew up in Tulsa. They're all Christians.
Yeah, she is a believer.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. How cool.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Wow. Okay. Anything else you want that I can't believe I missed Liza. And I had the graphic and everything. Yeah. I don't have a graphic for Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
But that's
don't. What's next? I don't know. There's a lot out there. I mean, I've got one that one that's going to take. It's at the development where it's like probably 2 years away.
Okay.
So people bring their projects to me, and I look over them, and decide. The hard part right now will be whether or not. It'd be weird as we're building this new company. Yeah. It'll be how much do I want to put towards
it's true
original productions that we want to do. Right. And that kind of thing, That's true. And then towards other people's productions. Yeah. So, Yeah. And so that's a tough one, Right. A lot of prayer there because anyway, because there are some really cool ones that people bring me that's like, that's probably going to do really well. That's a family one. I like the family oriented things, and stuff like that because we just haven't had like the one that one of my friends is working on right now. I thought, we just haven't. It's just fun when a really clean, really good show, comes on Broadway and it's a family oriented show. That's kind of neat.
And that's kind of rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that, and I've worked with University of Texas.
Oh my gosh.
On the Buckman Center there.
Yes.
And I work a lot with the School of Design and Creative Technologies there, and I kind of love immersive art.
Yes.
And that's what those kids are like. Their brains are all over the place, and they're incredible with their technology. And so I kind of that's what I loved about Sunset Boulevard, to be honest with you, was like you're doing something totally different, and you're bringing technology that could scare some people that you're doing screen along with live.
Yeah.
But there's something about the way Jamie Lloyd has done that balance that the audience is just enthralled. Yeah. And because it's all in grayscale.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
When we're not letting anything, this is not new, but when the murder happens, when red is a part of it, you're just like, whoa. It hits the impact. It's so crazy on the audience, and where that really, anyway. So, and Norma Desmond, the lead character, her outfit that she wears on stage the whole time was the #1 Halloween costume this past year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With the blood.
But
anyway, so, and that may not be very Christian to say, but anyway, I'm just joking. But anyway, but it was. I mean, but it was so it was really kind of neat, that it had that kind of like quick impact, and, that everybody was wearing it. So.
Yeah. What did you think of Nicole Scherzinger's performance? She's up for best performance.
Do you know recently? And I've got to dig a little more into this, but recently the sound system went down. Something happened.
Oh, no.
And she sang one of her songs through a bullhorn.
What?
To the audience. Yeah. And that bullhorn was then auctioned off to charity for $7,000.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And
that's cool.
Too bad I didn't know about it. I might have bought that bullhorn. But anyway, but the fact that she did that, her vocals, I can't remember how long she holds some note in there that you just kind of go, how? Yeah. Again, little bitty body.
Yeah.
Incredible talent, and so she's, she did a spread recently in People magazine. She's just gorgeous, and everything. So she's pretty
That's
neat.
great. Yeah. Lots of Tony Award nominees.
Yeah.
So you're going to get one, at least one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, wow, that's going to be fun. June 8th. Carl, am I still invited to the house party?
House party. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Big Tony party.
Good. Yeah.
And Nelda could go to that with her jeans on.
That's true. You could. You could. Yeah.
I may not elbow everybody up to the stage. No. I guess I'm obligated to go.
I want to see you take some people out. Come on.
I want to invite you and Chris to come up to New York and see a Broadway play.
Oh, man. That sounds fun.
I would love that.
Golly. Yeah. I'm down for that. I'm down for that, Carl. Thank you. We've just been invited to come up to Broadway.
Go to Broadway.
Man, that'll be fun. Thank you. All right. Anything else you just want to say? Anything else? I mean, there's so many things to cover, and I feel like we still missed a bunch. But is there anything else on your heart, or just? Oh
no, just I guess we're in kind of a weird waiting period in a way, and we're having to do a lot of like when you're building a new company and you're in that you're in that, hey, let's talk to all the lawyers things, you know, and that kind of stuff. I'm really ready for that stage to be over.
Yeah.
So pray for patience for me while I go through all of that.
That's not the fun part.
It's not the fun part for me. It's like, I mean, it's necessary.
Right.
I get it. But I'd prefer to do the creative part.
Right.
And right now I have felt like, probably like the last month, I have felt like, it's that time of the year, end of school.
Yeah.
Lots of, and then all this is going on and everything. And people are like, come to New York. And I'm like, I have a choir concert. Anyway, there's a choir concert. Can't really. And, there's just a lot of that kind of, for my heart. It's this, God's really saying, be still.
Yeah. Okay.
I am doing this thing.
Yeah.
Just, you need to be still while I do this thing, and let me do it in my timing,
Oh,
and if I had it to do, honestly, I would have already be in process. And I can't be. I mean,
right. But you have God telling you to be still. I mean, that really helps.
Yeah. It's just, It's hard for my nature. Yeah.
Right.
To wait.
Yeah.
In that sense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of us, I think. Right. Yeah. All right.
So,
well, we will be praying for you. We pray
you.
for you often, you and Carl, and the wisdom that is required and the big vision that God has put on your heart and on your spirit. And we are praying for you and for patience as God is like,
and a Tony
be
dress.
still. And a Tony dress. Where do you get a Tony dress? Give us, how does that work?
I don't know. I know that I'm probably one of those people who ought to get a dresser or something. You can actually hire people who do that.
Yeah.
And everything. But I always forget to do it till it's too late. And, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm really more of a pants girl, so it's kind of hard.
Okay. All right. All right. It sounds like you're just going to tease us. And so we just have to see what you're wearing June 8th. It sounds.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just.
I pray that I walk up the stairs and don't fall up the stairs. Yeah.
All right. That's pretty confident. That sounds like a win is coming.
I mean, like walking up and down my stairs now all the time. Oh, well, yeah. I hope. Yeah. We'll see. Because Audra McDonald in Gypsy, she's she's right across the street from us in New York, But Audra, you've got so many Tonys, throw one our way. Yeah.
All right.
One never knows.
One never knows. We'll find out June 8th. And we will, I can't wait to see just Alder Tree and what you create and do in God's timing, in God's timing.
Forgive me for the dark satire television.
You're just asking for that up front.
Yeah, just up front before we even write it.
That's funny. Okay. I can't wait to see that too.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun. Well, thank you again for your friendship. Thank you for taking time to catch us up a little bit on the many things of Nelda and Carl Buckman. It's amazing what you're doing, amazing what you're going to be doing. And again, the beautiful part is just how you love people and care for people. So thank you just for being a light in this dark world that needs that light and needs that love. So, and that's everywhere. That's not just Hollywood or Broadway or London. I mean, that's everywhere that light is needed. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for blessing us and our family in so many ways. We just are grateful for you and we love you very much. So
love our Teals.
Well, Nelda and Carl are being very bold. That's just a fact. There's no way around it. I mean, they're being very bold, and that being very bold comes from the love of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's where it comes from, and the difference that Jesus makes in our lives. So just thank you for being very bold. Thank you for being so connected to Christ and to God and listening for his voice and listening for his direction and going where he tells you to go and doing what he tells you to do. I mean, that is being very bold. So for you today, you may be watching and thinking, well, I'm probably never going to produce a Broadway play. Well, I'm not either. But whatever God has for you to do today that he's whispering in your ear through the Holy Spirit, hey, do this. Maybe it's forgive somebody. Maybe it's love somebody. Maybe it's just serve somebody. Maybe it's just letting go of something. Maybe it is creating something. Maybe it's creating a new friendship or a new relationship. Maybe it's a neighbor that God puts on your heart. I mean, there's something. That's what we got to focus on. We can be inspired by Nelda and Carl and all that they do, but we also we have things to do. God has things for you to do that nobody else in this world can do. Nelda and Carl can do what Nelda and Carl can do. Steve and Chris can do what we do. The Marksman can do what he does. But there's something that only you can do. I mean, it's just you. So God has gifted you in that way, but you do have to be connected to that voice. I'm the vine, you're the branch, Jesus said. We've got to be connected. We've got to be listening. We've got to be saying, Jesus, what are you telling me? Jesus, what am I missing? Jesus, what do you think about me? We go to his word and we go to the Spirit and we say, who am I to you? And who are you? Who is Jesus? And when things get a little bit overwhelming, I mean, which they can, right? You've got so many things going on. I mean, it's time for us and each one of us just to focus on who Christ is and what he has done and what he is doing and what he will do. He will accomplish what he says he will accomplish. So he is for you and he is with you and he loves you very much. All right. The Apostle Paul, he put it a lot better, more succinctly than I ever could. He said it this way in 2 Corinthians 3:12, and it is why we are Very Bold Ministries, Very Bold Radio and Podcast, Very Bold, all the things we're trying to be for Jesus. He said, therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Very Bold Radio and Podcast with your host, Steve Teel, bringing encouragement through God's Word and through inspiring interviews. Go to verybold.com for information and updates, and email steve@verybold.com.